Hello, my name is Laura Alford. I am an instructor for Engineering 101, and this video is a short introduction to Matlab. Now, when you open Matlab, it will probably look fairly similar to what you see here on my screen. It'll kind of pop up in the middle. There's some different windows around here, toolbars with some fun-looking buttons along the top. There's a way to change the layout pretty easily if you don't like this one. So there's a default one. There's a 3-column layout where they're arranged slightly differently. All but the command window minimized, but now I've missed some stuff that was going to come in handy later. So go back to the default, and then I'm actually going to move my window over here so you can see me in a little box. All right. So getting started with Matlab, let's see what we got going on here. So first, I want to always check and see what your current folder is, and that means where are you working in the computer. Right now, I'm working in Users, Laura Presenting, which is the account that I use when I'm presenting stuff, Documents, and then Matlab. Now, I generally don't really use this Matlab folder because I have lots of Matlab programs kicking around, and I like to organize them by project. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back up to Documents, and I'm going to make a new folder here, and we will call it Engineering 101. You can call it whatever you want. And then I'm going to double click and get in this. So there's an error message saying that we weren't working in that folder. So now we are. And so now everything that we do is going to end up right here in this folder, and we know exactly where it's at. So this is good. Workspace, there's nothing there because we haven't done anything yet. So let's get to work. In the command window, here's where we can type some stuff. Matlab is very good at doing math on numbers. Watch this. So 12 times 3. Look at that. Answer equals 36. So it works like a calculator. Right? 56 minus 23.45. All right. Answer is 32.5500. You'll probably have noticed that down here in the workspace, now something's popped up. So when Matlab does a calculation, it has to store that answer somewhere. It doesn't just hang around somewhere. It has to put it into a spotted memory, and it gives the memory a name if you don't tell it what the name already is. So in this case, it defaults to this ants for answer. And it says in the workspace, if you hover over it, it says it is a 1-by-1 double. What does that mean? Well, if you double click on it, you get a new window called the variables window, and it tells you what answer is. And you can see there's a big kind of spreadsheet looking thing. And 1-by-1 means there's just one number in the first row and the first column. Double means like a decimal number as opposed to an integer type number, or letters or something like that. So right now we just have ants. Is this 32.55. It's just one number. When it's just one number, it's called a scalar. If you have a row of numbers or a column, then those are called vectors. And then if you have the big whole set of them, that's called a matrix. We will cover vectors and matrices later on in the class, so keep that in mind. But for right now, we'll just work with these numbers. But this is where variables can go. So if we go back down here to our command window, and you can see you can move all this stuff around. So depending on what you've got going on, you can rearrange things as you like. All right, so now we have ants, 32.55, but ants isn't really descriptive of anything. So it's really good that we give our variables names that sort of make sense. So maybe we want to say that number 1 is equal to the 12 times 3. Okay, and it tells us right down here in the command window that number 1 is equal to 36, and then also puts it over here in the workspace for us. So now we've got a spot where we can keep track of all the calculations, all the variables that we have available to work with. If we want to do number 2 is equal to 56 minus 23.45. Now we have number 2. So now we have both of these numbers saved, and we can do stuff with them later. So before, right, when we kept saving it over and over into answer, we couldn't use that data later. So now we can. We can say take number 1 times number 2 equals. And this now is a big number, and so Matlab has switched to scientific notation for us. That's what it does. It's good like that. All right, in terms of order of operations, you have to type it into Matlab just like you would on your calculator. So if you wanted to do 12 times 3 minus 2, here, make it be consistent here, like this, that is different from 12 times 3 minus 2. Sorry, minus 2. like this, right? Different answers. So again, just like you would do in a calculation, just like normal order of operations, do the same thing in Matlab. All right, so this is all well and good, but we can't really use any of this. This is typing stuff in, but it's not really quite a program yet. So let's make a little one. All right, so go back up here. We'll close out variables. And you see up here at the home, in this home tab, we can click on new script. So script is what Matlab calls sort of a basic computer program where it's just you're going to type in a bunch of stuff and it will do them in order all at once for you instead of you having to type them over and over again. So what we can do is one way. So if you go back into the command window and you click where you can type and you hit the up arrow, you can see everything that you typed before. So you can go back in here and get number 1. Maybe we'll copy and paste it up here. And then we'll go back down here and get our number 2. And that, we can just leave it there, copy and paste. Oops, brought along the carrot. That's not so good. Don't want that. Okay, so I got this. All right. Now Matlab has sort of helped us out. It's underlining this. Okay, it says terminate statement with semicolon to suppress output within a script. In English, that means that if you don't want it to spit out what the number is, what number 1 is again, if you put a semicolon here, it won't give you this display down here. That's all that means. So if you already know what it is and you're happy with it, you can put the semicolon in, and then it won't display it. It will still do the calculation and it would update things over here in the workspace, but it just wouldn't spit it out down here in the command window. So up to you what you want to do. All right, so say we're going to start with this basic one. So I'm going to hit Command S to save. You can also save up here. I'm going to save. Okay, select file, save as. All right, so we're going to save this as, say, a simple script here. Save it in Engine 101, that's where we're at, and it saves it as a .m file. So this is Matlab's files. Click Save. All right, now over here in current folder, simple script has appeared. So we've got a computer program we can work with. Now, to see what it does, delete all this and then type in clear. And that will delete all of the variables that we had in our workspace. And if we even type in CLC for clear command, then it clears all the command window stuff too. So it's kind of like we just restarted Matlab. So to run the script, you can do one of two things. You can go up in the script and then you can just click the big green arrow that says run. So it even helps you. It says run simple script. So to do that, and voila. So it pops up down here in the command window, says, you ran a simple script, and here is number 1 and number 2 popped up over here. So again, it just did these lines of code right here, just in order automatically for you. The line numbers over here are really helpful for in case you run into problems later. You can say like, oh, I'm getting an error on line 56, and so you can go right to line 56. So it's very helpful. The other way you can run scripts is to literally just type in the name of it down here in the command window. So it's the name of the file, but not the .m part. So you just type in simple script, and obviously it didn't update, it didn't do anything because, well, it did, it just, the numbers are the same. So let's do clear, and then we'll run simple script from down here, and there's our numbers again. All right. So other numbers that you can, or things that you can do with numbers here, you can do number 1. Oops, actually I'm going to say number, we'll do number 3 is equal to number 1 exponent, number 2, like this. All right, and actually we'll leave the semicolon off so it'll tell us what it is down here and also in the workspace. So do this, we'll save, and then we'll run and see what we get. And see now number 3 is this big giant number of times 10 to the 50th. So this is exponent here. And then eventually we're going to end up using what's called the dot operators. This is just a little bit of a heads up when we get to vectors and matrices. So if you see us, or when we start doing this, you see this dot in front of multiplication and exponent and division sign, it is because we're trying to be consistent for when we get to vectors and matrices. And again, we will explain more later on that, I promise. So for all of this, you can also do something like number 3 is equal to number 3, because it's not an equation like in math. What we're doing is that the stuff that's on the right-hand side is getting put into the stuff that's on the left-hand side, even if it's the original thing. So say we want to say that number 3 is equal to whatever number 3 currently is, minus 10, or divided by, actually, 10 times 10 dot. Dang it, there we go. 10 times 10 to the 40th. Okay, do that. Let's suppress that. Actually, no, here, we'll show how it changes from number 3, this number 3 to this number 3. All right, save it and run. Here we go. So now we see number 3 from up here, right? This line here. This one produces this version number 3, and then now we're going to divide the original number 3 divided by 10 times 10 to the 40th, and this gives us same number but times 10 to the 9th. So we get this feedback by leaving out the semicolon, so this can be helpful if you want to double check your calculations step by step. But over here in the workspace, it just stores the very last value for number 3 when this script gets done running. So this is just sort of a quick overview and introduction to MATLAB. We will get to do much more exciting things later in class, I promise. But hopefully this is helpful. Before you come to lecture, try and just make sure that you have MATLAB installed, because we're going to be working with it in class and in labs very quickly. And make sure that you have a Kane account. If you have any questions, go to Canvas and post them on Piazza, and we'll get back with you.